So many Texans turned up to testify about data centers that lawmakers had to open 2 overflow rooms at the Capitol. A judge stopped one North Texas town from voting on a project 500 feet from people's backyards. And the state's own grid operator now says it will take until December just to count what is coming. We begin in Austin, where a House State Affairs hearing on data centers drew such a crowd that lawmakers opened 2 overflow rooms inside the Capitol complex. Susan Tatro, who lives on 4 acres in unincorporated East Williamson County, told the committee a 3rd data center could be approved within a mile of her home, one of them roughly 200 feet from her property line. She talked about lights, noise, water, her ducks, her egrets, her neighbor's cattle, and the springs she is afraid of losing. Kyle Workman, a commissioner from Leon County, put the structural problem plainly. Counties hold no regulatory authority over unincorporated land, so the people closest to these projects have the least say in them. Chairman Ken King capped testimony at 6 hours. That frustration is already landing in the courts. Because in Tarrant County, a judge has stopped a data center vote in its tracks. District Judge Kimberly Fitzpatrick signed a temporary restraining order barring the town of Westlake from voting on, approving, adopting, or taking any action to implement Resolution 26-25, the development agreement behind the Circle T data center. The order landed while a special meeting was already underway. It came at the request of the Lakes at Marshall Ridge Homeowners Association in neighboring Keller, whose members argued the project would cause immediate harm to their properties. The site sits inside Westlake town limits but at the northern edge of Keller, roughly 500 feet from several residences' backyards. The plaintiffs allege the town failed to give legally required public notice on an earlier zoning action. A hearing follows, but lawsuits cut both ways. A case study circulating among state policy analysts this week retraces what happened in Hill County, a county of about 35,000 people north of Waco. In May, commissioners passed a 1-year moratorium on data center construction in unincorporated areas, the first county-level ban of its kind anywhere in Texas. 23 days later it was gone. A developer, RCM Hill, filed suit in federal court in Waco seeking $100 million in damages, arguing the moratorium was illegal under state law and that the officials who voted for it knew that when they cast their votes. On June 4, the Commissioners' Court voted unanimously to rescind, replacing the ban with a disclosure checklist. Tom Green County, watching from West Texas, quietly dropped its own moratorium plans. The developer dismissed the case in July. Behind every one of these fights sits the same constraint: power. And the scale of that constraint got clearer this week when ERCOT Chief Executive Pablo Vegas sat down in front of the same House committee. Vegas said the grid operator is now working through roughly 200 gigawatts of potentially eligible large load. The audit Governor Abbott ordered at the start of the month, covering somewhere between 250 and 300 proposals, most of them data centers. To put 200 gigawatts in perspective, ERCOT's all-time demand record is 91 gigawatts. Set on the 22nd of July, the agency will request information from every data center expected to draw 25 megawatts or more, and Vegas told lawmakers the audit will not be finished until late November or early December. The batch study that determines transmission cost is postponed until then. Power is only half the problem, though. The other half is water. And Texas regulators admitted in that same hearing that they do not actually know how much of it data centers are using. Robert Sadlier, Deputy Director of the Water Quality Division at the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, told lawmakers that data centers and similar facilities are not required to state how much water they need when they apply for a permit. The Public Utility Commission is the only agency currently collecting that data at all. Temple McKinnon of the Texas Water Development Board said her agency's survey response rate had climbed to 29% of 341 data centers, up from 17% back in June. And she noted the survey only covers facilities that already exist, not the ones being proposed. Some governments are done waiting for the numbers. In Florida, Williamson County has skipped straight past the pause. Council members were handed a proposal for a 6-month moratorium on artificial intelligence data centers, and instead directed staff to draft an outright, permanent prohibition, voting unanimously to ban large-scale data centers across unincorporated Williamson County. The ordinance defines a large-scale facility as any single site with an anticipated monthly peak load of 50 megawatts or more. Officials cited water resources, noise, infrastructure strain and incompatibility with neighboring land uses, noting these facilities run continuously and need extensive electrical systems, cooling equipment and backup generators. The county is leaning on authority the state handed local governments earlier this year. And inside the same county, the city of Edgewater has pushed a permanent ban of its own onto the November ballot. Yet the build-out keeps finding new ground. Because on the very same day Texans were packing that Capitol hearing room, Amazon confirmed it is building a multi-billion-dollar advanced robotics manufacturing facility in East Austin. The plant will anchor the newly annexed Dogs Head district, sited off Hergotts and Dalton Lanes near the center of a stretch of land covering more than 2,600 acres. It will produce the robotics systems that work alongside Amazon warehouse employees on repetitive tasks and heavy lifting, adding somewhere between 300 and 500 manufacturing and engineering jobs to the more than 17,000 people Amazon already employs in the city. Notably, the company put no figure on it, and asked for no economic incentives and no public money for the facility itself. The capital behind all of this, though, is getting more expensive. And that brings us to the kicker. Nebius Group announced a proposed private offering of $4.5 billion in convertible senior notes, $2.75 billion due in 2030 and $1.75 billion due in 2034, with an option for initial purchasers to take another $675 million. The proceeds are earmarked for data center construction and build-out, expansion of the company's footprint, procurement of components including graphics processors, and its artificial intelligence cloud platform. Investors were not thrilled. The stock dropped roughly 14% intraday on the news. It is a reminder that the market, which has been rewarding every gigawatt announcement, is starting to ask harder questions about who ultimately pays for them. Thanks for watching. If you found this useful, subscribe, leave a like, and drop a comment. It helps us cover more of these stories.